What's going on, guys? It is Darth. We're back in Queensblade Limit Break, and in this one we are going to take a look at the new Mind SP Warrior, brand new Warrior. This is the first rotation, Cinderella, the Queen of Winter. Which that's kind of a misleading title to some degree, because when you read this you think, oh, freeze ice attacks. That's what the Mind attribute is known for, sort of. You'll get to see that in a little while. But first I want to say thanks for tuning in, guys, and I apologize for the content drought. I'm working on things in the background and still getting up at 4 a.m. to go to work every morning. I'm tired. Haven't even had a chance to tend to my number of girlfriends that I got waiting in the wings and I'm supposed to be taking care of throughout the week either. Did you guys get that joke? My girlfriends? Anyways, alright. So look at this chick. Holy crap. The color palette, the blues that they use just continue to be top notch. She's not overly, sexualized. She's good looking. This is very simplistic. I think they call the word elegant. It's very elegant. Very nice. The axe, awesome. Would love to have just like a replica of this. I keep saying, kind of like the other Mind attribute, the Ocean Princess, whatever her name is, she's got that trident. If people do resin work with some of this stuff and then can create this with some resin blue, you could sell this stuff for a butt ton of money. Anyways, I got my Starbucks coffee, guys. Let's dive into this one. Try not to make it as too long. Let's go in and take a look at her. We've already kind of taken a look at her. I think the color palette's awesome. She looks great. Spicy pose, though. Let's take a look at a few things here. I'm noticing a few reused types of assets. Look at this. This slight tear down here is becoming very common along their spicy poses. Although she looks like she's about to block a shot from my Vesper. My Vesper's coming in with her little demonic tail that just, I'm going to finish you. She's got some little battle damage going on to that nice, elegant armor of hers. Almost like she's supposed to just stand there and look pretty. When I first logged in, somebody said I'm disappointed she has no nipples. Do you know what nipples are? Granted, they're not the standard nipples, but these shadowing right here, you might expect them to be down here, over here, whatever. They're right here. They're shadowed. They can't put actual nipples on there, even though that's kind of what they did. So I'm guessing the person who said it doesn't actually know their nipples. Raina? I'm just kidding. She knows what, if she watches this video, she knows what nipples are. I think she has them. But anyways, I digress. Let's go take a look at her, guys. Her skills, all right? Let's juice her up. This is where we're going to start getting into the meat of the product. And I'm going to give you my final thoughts of what I think about her. But when I talk about the part where I talk about, well, that was way too many talkabouts in one sentence. When I go over my recommendation on whether or not you should pull for her, I'm going to break it down. Oh, she's got the little silhouettes here. Maybe those aren't her nipples. I may have to apologize to my teammate. Or maybe they are silhouetting her nipples. They can't be that high. Anyways, be squirting right in the face. Anyways, her passives, pretty standard. She's a warrior. She's going to specialize in single target DPS. It doesn't have the heading like it normally does. It gives you a brief overview of who and what she does. So we're gonna go over it. She's a warrior. Main single target DPS, high damage theoretically. She gets the standard SP Warrior. She gets 45% increase to attack that is added to her base attributes. Same thing with HP. It's 25%. Crit rate naturally 15%. No other description here. I wish with all SPs to make them even more worth it, they gave them other abilities here like they do many of the other SP Warriors. Talk about overpowered ones. Let's go to the first one because this is kind of important. So follow these ones here. Icicle Shoot. Attacks a single enemy in the front row twice, dealing 260% damage, and as far as I can tell, she does 260% damage twice. And that's good because her damage potential could be limited by certain factors we'll go over. Recovers 30% damage as HP. That's awesome because you don't technically need the rune then for getting the HP healing. She has that built in, although I guess you could take it, and I'm pretty sure that they stack, although they probably shouldn't. Dealing 6% of her own max HP. Own max HP ignores defense, cannot exceed 300% of her attack. I'm still trying to figure out if the 6% damage of her max HP can crit. I think I saw it crit, but I'm not entirely sure. So I'm going to have to play that back a little bit. I didn't know that this kind of damage could crit, but it would make sense that it does. I just never paid attention. Now, keep that move in mind. It's a single target attack, twice. Recovers, ignores defense with bonus, I guess we'll call it an additional damage based on max HP. Icicle Drive. Normal attacks grants Winter Solstice for 1 turn, increasing normal attack rate to 135%. I think it's 100% damage of your attack on normal, so it's a slight increase, but you also get other benefits. Winter Solstice basically gives you 25% crit rate, which is awesome. Crit resist plus 15%. I'm not sure why you want. I mean, crit resist is great. It reduces the chance your enemy can crit, but it's a DPS. I would like to see more like crit damage increase. Give her some juice. Give her some power, man. Now, anyways, let's go back. If an ally other than herself inflicts an action restriction, we're going to rename that. If an ally inflicts an immobilization effect via an attack, she will do a normal, I'm not saying additional, and there's a reason why I'm not saying additional. She will do a normal attack and deals bonus damage equal to 4% of the target's max HP. Triggers up to 3 times each turn, not exceeding 150% of her own attack. Now, I didn't say additional because she can still take her normal attack. She will do a counterattack if I believe that's what they're trying to say. She's kind of a counterattacker, but she's conditional. Basically, if your teammate or multiple teammates inflicts immobilization effect, she will deal a normal attack, and she'll do that damage, and she'll deal a bonus damage equal to 4% of the target's max HP. Sorry, my roommate is out there making noise, guys. Anyways, let's go to the final ability. This is where those two moves, the first one and the normal attack, Winter Solstice and stuff like that, this icy shoots come into play. At the end of your turn, if you have already used Icicle Shoots, which is your first maneuver, and performed a normal attack, you will perform Rage of Demon King. Okay? After it just basically states that it resets, it can be activated once every 4 turns, and Demon King basically deals 450% physical damage to the row directly in front of her. It's distributed equally among those targets, and damage received by a single target cannot exceed blah, blah, blah. But it does ignore defense. So she has naturally built-in defense ignoration. I have not gotten a straight answer. I've asked several times, and I just don't think that they're translating it properly, where they're not telling me if the rune skill, it's a very simple question, does the rune skill stack with naturally inherent damage ignore? There's a rune skill that ignores percentage of damage. I don't think that those two stack. I think they're in conflict with each other. Although the rune that heals for HP actually stacks with something like this. It's odd. I still haven't got an answer. If you know, shout me out in the comments. Let me know what your if you've got a response from somebody credible, or if you've witnessed this in your own play. So you come in, you use your first attack, you perform a normal attack, and then you're going to hit what's going to be considered your nuke maneuver. Now, a lot of times when you see this high of physical damage to multiple enemies, it's generally on a mage. So to see this on a warrior is kind of cool, because it distributes the damage equally, and it can crit, meaning that you're still going to want to have as high attack as you can possibly get to make every hit count, because unlike, I'm talking about the Easter Bunny, unlike the Easter Bunny, she's not hitting 5 targets, so it's going to be easier to hit that maximum 300% of attack, kind of limiting your damage to some degree. But anyways, now, what this means is that because of her conditional turn right here, it could take longer to trigger Demon King, and that's okay because it triggers every 4 turns, unless you want to buy the EX gear where you can get that down to 2 turns, which would be insane. But nobody's going to buy enough of this unless you're a whale. That's hundreds and hundreds of dollars, probably over $1,000 to get to this level to bring that down to a 2-turn cooldown. Although if you do it, it would be insane. But her counterattack here does not actually trigger unless an immobilization effect occurs. So she's not doing that attack, getting that Winter Solstice before her attack unless somebody immobilizes. What I'm talking about is you want an immobilizer to go first, so she performs this normal attack, gets the increase to crit rate, and then she gets her normal attack when she takes her normal turn. So she gets 2 attacks, basically. And you're going to get to see that here in a second. But it's not going to trigger as fast if you don't have her on an immobilization team. Well, mine specializes in freezing the enemy team. Now, I say specializes loosely. Not a lot of people use the freeze team, although I think it's underrated. But anyways, I digress. So that's it right there in a nutshell. She's a counter attacker, ignore defense. She's a follow-up attacker. I don't want to say a counter attacker. She's a follow-up attacker. And then she has a warrior version physical damage of a nuke, but it only hits the row in front of her. So positioning is going to be key here. One, because on her first move, she targets a single enemy. If there's only one enemy in the front row, usually a tank like P. Claudette, okay, fine. But if there's multiple people in the row, she's going to pick whoever she's supposed to hit, and she's going to hit. So let's go actually take a look at this in battle, because I want you to see what I'm talking about, and then we'll wrap it up here. Okay, I have a hodgepodge of characters here, but the most important is that you want to have an immobilization tune that hopefully goes first, and I have the fish, everybody's favorite mistress that you'll love to hate. Skill, I think, specializes in immobilization resistance, so I don't know. Usually I can tell by the team that you're going up against what the intended purpose is. Maybe that's what it is. These two particularly right here specialize in immobilization resist, so we're going to see that in action. So the fish is going to go. Let's see if we can hit it. She got it immobilized. Now watch what happens. She's going to trigger that normal attack. She gave herself Winter Solstice, so now she has the increased crit rate, and she hasn't even taken her normal turn yet. Meaning that on her normal turn, she's going to activate Icy Shoots, her first ability, giving her the first 2 conditions to trigger her nuke. We're going to see that in action here in just a second. Liliana, that's my girl. Get in there and do work. Here she goes. She triggers the first one. Bam! There you go. So she is the queen of the icicles, whatever her name was. So she hits the row that she's in front of. So when you are putting her in a team and you got a middle row full of team, you want to try and position her in a way that she can hit multiple enemies, depending upon your attack. So that's essentially what happened. She did that, and then she ignored defense, and she did extra damage according to HP. Now I'm going to get out of that so you don't have to rewatch the fight, but in the trial is not a good place to determine certain things, but it's a good place to get an overview. Now, the time has come for me to say, should you pull for her? What is her value and worth? I think from a mind attribute perspective, I think she can go in as a main DPS, and considering there's actually a lack of decent warrior main DPSs on here, I think that she is a good person to have. Now, that's no disrespect to Tomo. She, in my opinion, is still one of the most solid DPSs. She ignores defense, attack up, crit reduction. She is a solid DPS that I'm building back up because I forgot I actually used her as infusion material. Whether or not she's better than her, I want to put those two up on an even keel. So I'm going to do an 8-star comparison and see where they are. And then I want to do a 10-star comparison. And that's going to be a bit down the road. I think that this new warrior can be your main DPS for a mine team, and I think she's going to be pivotal considering the lack of actual newer warriors for this team. Tomo is still great. Don't misrepresent that. But I'm going to break this down into 2 areas. It depends on where you are in the game, because there seems to be some confusion when I say people should pull for the warrior. I'm not saying pull for the warrior because she's almighty and great. I have my reasons why I want one of every warrior, and it's becoming more and more important. If you are a new player, the advice is we just had the fish. You should be going with the meta because that's what everybody's going to tell you, and it's going to help you out to some degree. Now, that warrants more explanation than we have time for, so you should be saving up for the fish. You should be saving up for philia. You should be, which is another mind attribute warrior, by the way, you should be building P. Claudette. You should be going with the meta. I'm not going to say sheep, but it is what it is. These are solid warriors used for a reason. If you are where I am at in the game and where many other people are at in the game, let's say you have your main team built up, even if it doesn't consist of fish and whatnot, you're where you are. Where I am, and I recommend people who have the books and stuff like that, you want to pull her for the standard at least 8-star. Okay, and with the addition of the gems here, you should be going for 9-star. 8-star with the books, which is 2 copies. Use your gems and then supplement the rest books, depending upon how lucky you get her to 9-star. You only need 3 copies. 2 to go to 8, and then 1 more to go to 9. Okay, that's my recommendation. I think she's a solid warrior, capable of good DPS, but she will do a bit better if she's put on an immobilization toon who is faster than her. You want the immobilization to go off first. That way she gets that normal attack early. Keep in mind, Rage King, her nuke, is on a 4-turn cooldown. So you don't necessarily need an immobilization toon for her to be damage worthy. It just goes off a bit sooner. That's all. So let me know what you guys think in the comment of the look, the spicy pose, what I said about the look kind of being rehashed on these little tears. What do you think of her skills? What do you think of her as a mind attribute? Would you use her in a non-mind attribute? She's not going to break the meta. She's not going to cause anybody to run out and change their current teams, and that is the underlying problem here. She's not groundbreaking. She's a good DPS on paper and in trials, but we'll have to see how she performs outside of that. New players may want to skip this one and wait for philia. You just missed the fish. It's up to you if you pull, but keep in mind, a lot of game activities are driven by having one of each warrior for the currency increase, which is important over the long run. The other important thing that you're going to want to keep in mind, and this is probably the most important reason to pull to 8 stars, is because this is the first rotation. This is a new warrior, meaning that the exchange rules, when you compete in the warrior quest here, you get at 8 stars, you get a 40% increase in the currency, which gives you more to spend in the exchange shop. And given that it's the first run, the arrival tickets and the spicy tickets reset every day, giving you a good chance to recoup some of the books you may have spent, but also gain books. That's it, guys. That's an overview of the warrior. I think she's solid. I like her. She's not going to make it into my main team, but I would add her to my mind attribute trial team as a solid DPS to help Tomo out in just helping out with DPS where you need it. Sound off in the comment section. We're not going to go over blossoms. We're not going to go over gear and anything like that because this is not an in-depth review. This is just an overview. Until the next time, guys, see you later.